Here we are at Camp Heidelberg Outdoor Education Center. It's a beautiful day. We're banding birds today, and we acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral Peoples. We're also located in the WRDSB on the Haldimand Tract, land promised to the Iroquois Confederacy, Six Nations, for which rent is owing. We give gratitude to the birds and to the animals here today, and we're so excited to learn from them and spend a little time with them. So come on.
This is the feeder down by the pond. We've got 2 feeders, and there's a whole slew of chickadees. Seems like a really good day for bird banding and for chickadee feeding. It's nice and warm, bright blue skies, sunny, and we're gonna get this going. Woo! All right, so welcome.
Yeah, we got a chickadee.
All right.
Chickadee, what just happened?
So we're here at Camp Heidelberg today to do some banding. I've set up some potter's traps, and we've caught a chickadee. So without further ado, let's get into this. I'll be right back. I gotta get some bags.
So here we have another style of trap. This one's called a potter's trap. It's obviously a ground style trap that we put some bird seed in it. There's a little lever or lever on the bottom of the trap on the inside. The bird flies in, lands on the lever, which then closes a door in behind the bird. And it's a trap that can be used in somewhat inclement weather. We have a gorgeous day today to work with, but we thought we'd show a couple of different designs. So once again, this one's called the potter's trap.
Okay, so welcome to our banding lab. When we band chickadees here at Camp Heidelberg, we don't have like a nice enclosure. There's no building for this. We have just us, nature, and our equipment. So we have to be a little bit conscious about making sure that we're looking after ourselves and the bird. So Sean and I are, just to be clear, we're keeping our distance. Even though we've got our masks off, we're making sure we're at least 2 meters apart. Before I take the bird out of the bag, I'm going to show you a few of the things that we're going to be using to actually band this bird. And the first piece of equipment are the banding pliers. This is a specialized piece of equipment that's been designed specifically for this purpose. It's just a really simple pair of pliers. However, there's some holes that have been drilled into the end. The holes are sized to match the bands that we're going to be using today. There's also a post or a pin that's been attached to the top of the pliers, and when you open the pliers, that pin separates. That's going to be important for opening the band before I put the band on the bird's leg. So first piece of equipment is the pliers. The other thing you absolutely have to have are the bands. So this is a bird band. They're incredibly small, very lightweight, and that's on purpose. We don't want to be weighing a bird down. Birds have a hard enough job flying, so we make sure that these bands are super tiny, super light. This little band here weighs a fraction of a gram. This chickadee is probably going to weigh 10-11 grams. So this really is not a burden. It's not a hardship on the bird. It'd be very similar to wearing a watch or a necklace. So when we put this band on our chickadee today, it's going to get functionally a little piece of jewelry. Now, every one of these bands has a unique number on it, and it's like a barcode, and there's no 2 bands in the entire world that are the same, and that's to make sure that if this bird leaves, if it migrates or it moves to another place, we're not going to get it mixed up with someone else. Now, there are other sizes of band, and I just want to show you a big one for comparison. So this is a band as well. This is a band that would go on something like a great horned owl or a red-tailed hawk. So big band for big bird, tiny band for tiny bird. And we'll show you this close up later, but just it's really interesting to see them side by side. So you get a sense that birds come in all different shapes and sizes, and we've got bands designed specifically for that purpose.
Now, Levi, we tagged monarch butterflies in the fall. Is this similar to that?
Yeah, it's a very similar idea. The idea is that we can mark birds, we can mark butterflies. Sometimes it's a metal band on the leg, sometimes it's a sticker on the wing. If it was another animal, maybe we would put a microchip inside the bird or the animal. Like snakes usually use RFID tags that go just under the skin. But when we mark them, it marks them as an individual, so that if we ever recapture them, we can identify that individual. And then we learn neat stuff about the birds, or the snakes, or the butterflies. Where they go, how long it takes them to get there, if they come back, stuff like that.
Do you get notified if somebody finds your bird with your tag on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when a bird gets banded, we collect a bunch of information about that bird. It all goes to the banding lab. So in Canada, there's the federal government has basically a whole office dedicated to issuing permits and collecting the data and then sharing the data. They collaborate with governments all over North America. So Canada, the United States, and then all of the governments of countries in Central and South America, they all share data. So when we put this band on this bird, and then later today when I submit that information to the government, it goes into a big database. And if like 3 days later, if 3 days later, this chickadee is caught by another bander somewhere else in the world, they can look it up, or they write a letter to the government, maybe an email, and the governments will share, because they're sharing this information. It's pretty easy to track down information about this bird, who first banded it, where it was first banded, if it's a boy or girl, and all that stuff. All right, so one of the very first things that all bird banders need to know is how to hold a bird properly. And there's a couple different grips that we can use. The one I'm going to show you guys today is called the bander's grip. And it's not hard to do. So you start with a flat hand, and then you do the Star Trek thing. You move your fingers apart. Only that's kind of uncomfortable, so we're actually going to move one finger over. So it's 1 and 3 instead of 2 and 2. The bird's back is going to go into the palm of your hand. The head's going to go here between these fingers. Thumb's going to go over the right wing of the bird. These fingers are going to go over the left wing of the bird. And this weird claw-like grip is what we call a bander's grip. And this is a great way to hold a bird. It's going to keep it stable. It's going to keep it still. It still lets you access the feet and manipulate them. And the bird's head is going to be secure in between your fingers. It's going to look a little weird because, birds are fluffy and they've got lots of feathers, and it's going to look like my fingers are like choking it. But my fingers are on either side of the bird's neck. I'm not compressing its trachea, so it's going to be just fine. You have to be a little careful taking the bird out of the bag because they're like little ninjas and they want to get out. So when you loosen the knot, you open it up so you can get your hand in, but you keep your fingers wrapped around the bag. I'm just going to tuck my hand in and keep the fabric as tight around my wrist as possible. The chickadee's right here, right at the top, and right away he started to bite me. I don't know if you can hear the tapping of his wing, of his beak as he's biting at me. So I have to twist him around, and so I've got his head. You can't see this, but I've got his head between my fingers. So now I can actually start taking the bird out. So here's the bird in my hand. Chickadees have long toenails, very strong feet, so they've gone right through the fabric of the bag. So I'm just going to gently tug, and that's going to help the bird let go. So we're done with the bag for now. I'm not going to throw it away though. We're going to need that later. So I'm just going to tuck it down here. Here is our chickadee, the one that we caught in that trap. And I'm going to quickly transition the bird into the other grip, which is called the photographer's grip. And for this grip, I'm going to stick the upper leg between my fingers, and then use my thumb to hold the lower leg of the bird. This is going to secure its legs, and I'm going to just gently turn it around. And you can see this bird's still got lots of fight in him, poking and biting. Yeah, bird's quite comfortable. Yeah, bite, bite, bite. Very nice. Love bite. And the first thing we're going to do is get that band on. Now, so here's the pliers up close. So here you can see the post. So when I open the pliers, that post separates. So I'm going to get my band out. We've got our band. Sean, this is 2360.
2360.
26357.
57. Yep.
Perfect.
Black Cap Chickadee.
Black Cap
Species
Chickadee.
Code,
BCCH.
BCCH, and each species has its own code.
That's right. Yep. For Black Cap Chickadees, we use BCCH, and essentially what we're taking is the first initials from their name. So BC, Black Capped, and then Chickadee, CH. So when we put the band on the bird's leg, there's different ways to do this, but I like to hold the bird's foot steady and then put the band around the leg, the tarsus, and then gently pinch, get it aligned.
Pinch the band.
Pinch the band, that's right, yeah. And then give it rotate it, because the seam is together, but it's not perfectly lined, so I'm gonna give it a second pinch on the band just to make sure everything's really nice and snug. So that band is on there just the way we like. It's not open at either end, and it can rotate freely around the bird's leg. All right, so this bird is officially banded. With our chickadees, we do one extra step when we band them. We also put colored leg bands on these birds, and that's so that we can visually identify them. So the numbers on the bands are great if you've got the bird in the hand, but these numbers are so small you can't even see them with a pair of binoculars. So when we have classes out and we want to be doing maybe a behavioral study, or we want to be studying the way chickadee hierarchy works, we need to be able to identify individuals. So we put a unique combination of colored bands on each bird's legs. So here I've got a collection of the different colored bands, blues and blacks and yellows and pinks and greens. And then to get these bands on, I have what's called a leg spoon. And it's just a specially shaped piece of metal. And I can slide the plastic band over the tip, put the open band on the bird's leg, and then pull the spoon away, and the band will then retake its natural form and be snug around the bird's leg. So this is our wing ruler, and it has this L-shaped end bracket, and that's basically a rest so that we have a place where we can put the bird's wing in. There's different ways to measure wing chord or wing length. I like to leave the wing shape natural. I don't like to compress it. So this bird's got a 64 millimeter wing length. So we'll make sure Sean writes that down for us. And then again, that's pretty much right in the middle. So with this bird, we can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. Now if we look in the feathers, they're all nice and rounded. The primary coverts fairly truncate. These tail feathers have a nice round shape to them. They're not pointy like a pencil, they're nice and rounded. And that white edging, you can see how nicely it wraps around the tip. That is a surefire sign that this is a mature bird. This bird was not born in the summer of 2020. It was born in the summer of 2019 or earlier. So it could be, it's at least a year and a half, 2 years old. So we say this is an after second year bird. Now we're going to look at how fat this bird is, and that sounds mean, I guess, but it's important for birds. Birds need fat stores, especially in the winter time. They're going to gorge themselves during the day. They're going to store a lot of that food in a couple of parts on their body, just under their throat, in their armpits, on their lower back, and they're going to store that fat for nighttime. And at night, when they can't forage and it gets colder, they're going to shiver to stay warm, and they're going to burn off almost all that fat. So because it's the morning right now, I expect when I look at this bird's fat, there's going to be very little. we're just going to look in here, just the chest part of the bird. I'm going to blow the feathers aside. We're going to see if we can get this on the camera. Because bird's skin is translucent, you can actually see right through the bird's skin, and you can see the fat deposits inside. And the fat's going to be kind of a creamy yellow color, and then the muscle around it is going to be dark pink. So look for that. When I blow the feathers aside, look for that creamy color, the creamy yellow. All right, this bird definitely has a nice 2 fat, which is great. This bird has made good use of our feeder today. Good. So we have, we know its age, we know how big it is, we know how fat it is. All we have to do now is weigh it. And for that, I have these spring-loaded scales. These are Paizola scales, and they work really well, especially for field work like this. The only trouble is it's got this clip, and that's pretty vicious. Like, we would not want to attach that to the bird itself. If I put that on the leg or the wing or the tail, it's going to damage the bird. It's going to hurt the bird quite a bit. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to use this bag. Okay, so the chickadee's in the bag. The Paizola scale is measuring the bird's weight and the bag. So the two together weigh about 27 grams. And I measured.
Now what?
Well, I measured the bag already, and the bag was 16 grams. So,
Oh my goodness, that's too much math for me.
I know, kids, we need some help. 27 minus 16 is...
Get the abacus.
Yeah.
So both of them together was 27. The bag was 16. And so the chickadee then is
11 grams.
11 grams.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. So we're done. We've banded our bird. And I'm going to let one of my coworkers let this bird go.
You like bird banding?
I do. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. We have a few friends who get paid to do this full time, and I'm insanely jealous. I love my job, but to be able to band full time and be able to band all the birds that you can find in a beautiful place like Algonquin Park or the Bruce Peninsula, that'd be pretty magical. There we go.
All right. And what we saw from a distance was a chickadee go into the mist net, get cradled by the soft mesh, and get tangled in the lower bag. Hang on, let's back that up a second. That happened too quickly. And now let's watch that in slow motion. See what I did there?
So our mist nets have worked. We've caught a chickadee. I'm going to start extracting it right away, and I'll explain what I'm doing as I go. It flew in head first, so we're going to take it out tail first. So this is kind of a full body experience. I use my arms and my elbows, my body to control the net, and then I use my hands to manipulate the bird and pull and gently tease the net away from the tail, and then the legs and the wings eventually, and then at the end it's the shoulders and the head. So the tail is out, so I can pull the bird out of the net a wee bit, and then I'm going to gently massage this bird's feet to convince it to let go. And chickadees, like we said earlier, have really strong feet, and they're excellent at gripping, but they have sensitive little pads on the bottom of their feet, and if one of these fine little threads gets caught underneath that and you pull too hard, you could rip that and the bird would bleed. So we're gentle when we get their feet out. So tail's out, feet are out. I'm holding the bird in the photographer's grip right now just to stabilize the legs. And now I'm gonna go up to I'm slowly gonna work the net off the wings, trying to make sure that I don't bend the shoulder in the wrong direction. Ta-da! No, I'm caught.
You need us to extract you, Levi.
Wow, that's never happened before.
It's happened all the time to me. It's usually a zipper or something on my coat.
I will worry about my hat in a moment.
Drop it in, I'll extract your hat.
All right, thanks, Al.
What made you want to become a bender?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Ted Chesky, the guy who ran Wrigley Corners before me, introduced me to bird banding when I was quite young. And it was that first chickadee in my hand like 30 years ago that, well, maybe not 30, 25 years ago, that was really transformative. There's something magical about holding a bird in your hand, feeling its heart thumping, feeling it bite you, looking it in the eye, and just realizing that this is a wild creature, this is a wild animal, and you get to know it a little bit, and then you let it go because it has bands on it. Maybe a week later or a month later, you see it again, and you get to kind of follow it and keep up with it. And there's something just awe-inspiring, something amazing about the intimacy that happens when you get to hold a bird and band it and then follow it.
Levi, what are we doing today?
It's bird banding day.
All right.